Today I'll be explaining to you about cerebellopontine angle tumor excision or decompression surgery. That is a very important and common neurosurgery procedure that we see day in and day out. So what is CP angle tumor? It is a tumor that is located exactly at the junction of the brainstem and a very important part of the brain, that is the small brain just present here, which is known as cerebellum. So the brainstem and cerebellum, they have very important functions in the body. For example, the brainstem, a lot of cranial nerves that pass around the brainstem that are responsible for hearing, facial nerve that is responsible for chewing, sensations on the face, also taste sensation, eye movement, eye sensation, swallowing, shrugging of shoulders, lot of muscles which are all controlled by those cranial nerves. So whenever there is a tumor at that location, one or more cranial nerve can be involved. In so many cases, the tumor can arise itself from one of the cranial nerve, for example, which is vestibular schwannoma. Also, it will grow and compress the cerebellum and it will lead to symptoms like imbalance while walking, decrease in coordination, sudden gait ataxias, all these issues, which is specifically controlled by the cerebellum. The brainstem also has certain nerve tract fibers which control the movements of the hands and legs. In some cases, these movements can also be affected. So any CP angle tumor decompression or excision surgery becomes very, very critical because all these nerves, all these functions of the cerebellum, of the brainstem, of the cranial nerve can be affected. How would usually a patient present to us? Most commonly, the patients present to us with some sort of hearing loss since a few months. It will be a unilateral, that is hearing loss in one ear that will start slowly. How will the patient identify? Mostly by using the phone, the patient will say, I'm not able to hear from this ear while using the phone. Also, they might say that when someone is calling me from a particular side, I'm not able to hear. So many patients, they also present with facial nerve palsy, that is unable to chew food, drooling of saliva, deviation of mouth to one side, unable to close one part of the eye. Sometimes there can be some symptoms of trigeminal also, like sudden irritation, sudden pain, shock-like sensation, decrease in sensation on one side of the face, difficulty chewing. In progressive stages, many patients can present with swallowing difficulty speaking. Some patients, they can also have taste sensation issue, and if the cerebellum is compressed, can have imbalance, incoordination. You will typically see that the patient is walking as if he is drunk. Gradually, if the tumor has grown big, it is compressing the brainstem and ultimately the drainage system of the brain. Then the patient can directly present to us with hydrocephalus, that is increase in fluid of the brain, and the patient can present with altered sensorium, headache, vomitings. In any of such cases, we will first get an MRI done and we will see what kind of pathology it is. If you already have an MRI, before the surgery, we might want to get a CT done to see the current status and the swelling of the tumor, and if at all the patient has developed any hydrocephalus or increase in brain water fluid or not. So after all pre-operative workup is done, after the anesthesia, fitness and everything has been done, we'll admit you definitely one day before surgery and we'll need a head shave. During the surgery, we'll be shifting you inside OT, putting you on general anesthesia on ventilator support, putting a urine pipe, turning you, and the approach will be going from behind the ear, going inside, chipping off that part of the bone and gently retracting the cerebellum, doing safe maximal decompression of the tumor as much as possible to preserve facial nerve, brainstem and cerebellar function, and send that however much part of tumor has been removed for biopsy for further confirmation and diagnosis. Like I had told, in most of the cases, we cannot remove 100% of the tumor. The aim is to do safe maximal decompression only, followed by which, after the patient recovers from surgery after a few weeks, we might have to plan radiation for the patient. These surgeries are mostly done under a special device which is known as neuromonitoring, wherein Intraoperatively, we will be monitoring the facial nerve or any other nerve function to prevent any sort of nerve injury during the surgery and preserve maximum neurological function. The approach that we use for surgery typically is known as retromastoid craniectomy or craniotomy and decompression of CP angle tumor. Once the surgery is done, we want to get the patient out of the pins, out of ventilator support, and once the patient is out of ventilator support, we want to shift the patient to ICU, wherein there will be close observation for 24 hours for any sort of drop in sensorium, for any sort of facial nerve palsies, motor weakness, or any sort of bleed or changes in the vitals or seizures. If everything is fine after 24 hours, we'll be repeating a scan to see if the patient has developed any bleed or increase in brain water fluid or increase in swelling or any other issues inside that area where the tumor has been operated. If there are no significant changes in the brain scan, we will be making the patient have some food, making him walk, remove the catheter if possible in day 1 or day 2, and then shift the patient to room. The drain that we will be placing intraoperatively inside, once the drain quantity comes down, in 3 to 7 days, we might remove the drain and discharge the patient. After discharge, 10 days later, the patient will have to come for review, and if the wound is good, we will be removing the sutures. Once the wound has healed well and the patient has recovered nicely from the surgery, then according to the histopathology report that we have gotten, we will be planning further radiation for the patient. So any CP angle surgery is a very critical surgery. Definitely, there can be 1 to 10% of various complications that can happen during the surgery. First is bleeding. Any surgery can develop bleeding. We might need blood transfusion. Sometimes bleeding might develop after the surgery has happened. In that case, immediately we might have to shift the patient back to OT and remove back of the bone in order to prevent pressure inside the brain, decompress the brain, which is known as decompressive craniectomy. Second is infection. We are going inside the brain and doing the surgery. So chances of brain infection, which is known as meningitis, wound infection, surgical site infection can also develop. The chances of meningitis are very rare, but if at all it develops, definitely it is a life-threatening condition and it can be managed only with antibiotics. The third complication that can develop is leak of fluid, that is cerebrospinal fluid from the surgical site. Initially, it might come in the drain. The drain quantity can increase and can lead to headache, giddiness, neck pain, vomitings, imbalance while walking, and it has to be managed by flat bed and adequate fluids only. If it is leaking out from the wound, we might have to take multiple sutures, which can delay the wound healing process and delay the suture removal process also. If at all CSF leak is happening, definitely there can be increased chances of meningitis or brain infection in the patient. Sometimes the wound might heal, but there might be collection of CSF immediately beneath the wound site. In that case, we might have to put a syringe and aspirate, or if needed, we might have to tie a tight crepe bandage also to decrease that dead space and prevent collection of CSF there. All these situations can happen in very rare cases, around 2 to 3% of chances. Like any brain surgery, definitely there are chances of development of seizures because of swelling, and we will be giving anti-seizure prophylaxis, but in spite of that, rarely the patient can have seizures. Any CP angle tumor surgery, whatever hearing loss has happened, we cannot reverse it. So even after surgery, the nerve has already been damaged by the tumor. So even after surgery, we cannot restore the hearing function. But in some cases, in rare cases, the hearing function might also worsen or might also deteriorate. So whatever hearing loss that has happened, it will be permanent. During the surgery, patient can also develop other cranial nerve deficits like facial nerve, deviation of mouth, difficulty closing eyes, taste issues, also other lower cranial nerve issues like difficulty swallowing. And if in any such cases, we might have to do active speech therapy, physiotherapy for the patient and slow improvement. Once the deficit has developed, it might improve after a long period of time through certain types of exercises. Sometimes some residual deficits might stay. If at all the patient has developed any swallowing difficulty, then definitely post-surgery patient cannot eat through the mouth. He will be requiring a Ryle's tube feeding, wherein we will be putting a tube through the nose into the stomach and giving feeds through it. Any brain tumor surgery can need Ryle's tube feeding. Even the C-spine cases we operate can also rarely need Ryle's tube feeding post-surgery. Since the cerebellum has been involved, patient can definitely have persistence of symptoms like imbalance while walking, incoordination, giddiness, difficult gait, all these issues. If they are already present pre-operatively, post-operatively they might take a very long period of time to slowly reduce. These tumors, they are present near to very important part of the brain, that is brainstem. So post-surgery, patient can develop some kind of weakness of one limb or second limb or both the limbs also. If they are compressing on the drainage system of the brain, then the patient can also have sudden development of hydrocephalus or increase in water content of the brain. It can happen any day, immediately post-surgery, a few days to weeks or months. Even during radiation, there are high chances of development of hydrocephalus during these surgeries. If at all any patient is developing hydrocephalus, then the only option will be to go ahead with the shunt. That is, putting a hole here, putting a tube inside the water holding areas of the brain, which is known as ventricle, tunneling it through the skin and coiling it into the stomach to divert the excess fluid and prevent pressure in the brain. Post-surgery, we want to get the patient out of ventilator support, but definitely because of involvement of the brainstem, which actually controls the BP, pulse, breathing, motor movements, consciousness, there can be chances that the patient has difficulty coming out of ventilator support. In such a case, we might have to shift the patient to ICU with ventilator support and slowly remove the ventilator. If in 2-3 days the patient is not able to come out of ventilator support, we might have to remove the tube, put a hole directly into the neck and put a tube into the lungs, which is known as tracheostomy, to safeguard the airway. If at all the patient develops any such sort of situation, any neurological deficits, then post-discharge, the patient would need long-term rehabilitation care. That is, there are rehab centers where doctors and nurses which are dedicated to take care of such patients. Any surgery, it is a stress to the heart, lungs, kidney, and definitely 1% chances are there that sudden decline in cardiac parameters can occur. Sudden cardiology opinion might be needed. Sudden arrest can also happen. Especially when the brainstem is involved, 1 to 2% chances of sudden decline in cardiac parameters and needing for heart supports might be present. This is known as stress cardiomyopathy, which can happen in 1 to 2% of cases. Post-operatively, patient can have fluctuations in bowel movements with respect to diarrhea and constipation. Definitely, we are doing a surgery under general anesthesia, so 0.5 to 1% life risk can definitely be there. And on-table death or sudden cardiac arrest can also be there. CP angle tumor surgeries, they are very critical surgeries because they involve very important structures of the brain. So many times the results are very much unpredictable. Most of the times we are able to manage the patient well. Post surgery, after a few weeks after patient has recovered from the surgery, the patient will definitely need radiation, and there are 20 to 30% chances that during this period the patient might require a shunt. And definitely, like any surgery under general anesthesia, there can be development of unforeseen circumstances or unforeseen complications which are not under the control of the doctor. So like any surgery, any tumor, definitely there can be chances of recurrence even after decompression and radiation. After a few years, the patient can have recurrence wherein the patient might require resurgery or the patient might require radiation also. There can be further neurological worsening, further hearing loss in the future if any recurrence happens. Sometimes these CP angle tumors, they are associated with some kind of genetic disorders which are known as neurofibromatosis. In such cases, along with CP angle tumors, patient can have various other tumors and various other features in the body which have to be managed holistically.